You are getting me super sweaty. I'm a hot mess. I literally just came running through the door from bar class this morning and it's like 100 degrees out. It's like super hot in Arizona. Anyways, I'm a sweaty mess, but I'm here sharing a message that is so potent today. So if you're watching this, this is July 7th, 7/7 portal, and there is so much anticipation and excitement energy coming through. If you can feel this, go ahead and drop a comment, let me know. But there's some things coming through. So let me drop in. Okay, so I'm just going to start sharing. This is it. This is you stepping into your highest divine reality. Divine overflow is the name of the game. So the things that were coming through that were dropping in while I was working out and prior to this and just this morning and right now is that the wounded healer archetype, this was coming up, the wounded healer archetype is dead. The lone wolf template is dead. You're moving into light leader, sacred visionary, new earth human vibes, leading from your divine sovereignty, fully anchored and embodied in your worth. Period. Done. End of story. For all of you that want to shift into your highest timeline, sorry but not sorry, you're not going to be able to take the wounded identity with you. You're not going to be able to take the one that's constantly trying to heal and fix yourself. You're not going to be able to take the one that constantly thinks there's something wrong with you or that this is a never-ending healing journey. You're not going to be able to lead from that either in order to hold the sacred space that is required for others as part of your mission. You're not going to be able to identify with the wounded identity anymore and hold that sacred space and truly thrive in what you are creating because you are here to create and anchor in new earth 5D frequency rooted in unity consciousness, aka oneness consciousness. So I said this in the previous episode. The title of it is The New Earth Bus is Boarding. Next stop is Divine Overflow. You're not going to be able to take the wounded identity with you. And so I ask you to check in with yourself. Where are you still operating from scarcity, lack, or a sense of unworthiness? Where are you still selling yourself short? Where are you still buying into stories, narratives, paradigms, belief systems, conditioning that you are not here to be divinely blessed and abundant and prosperous doing what you love? Because let's face it, you're here listening to this right now because you have a calling in your heart. You are committed to being of divine service. You are here as the high priestess, as the channel, as the bridge between heaven and earth. And you are here to share your sacred magic and your medicine with the world in only the way that you can. And you are divinely compensated, abundantly provided for when you fully trust and know that your offering, your sacred medicine is the gift. You are the gift. You are the portal. You are the medicine. It is your frequency. It is the codes you activate when you share. It is the sacred space that you hold. It is the art that you create. And you can fully own this. So the other thing that was dropping through is you are here to be a living, walking, talking, breathing example of what it looks like to choose love, freedom, abundance, prosperity over fear. What it feels like to choose truth over fear and how that expresses in this 3D reality as a divinely worthy being that is no longer anchored or tethered to the fear-based grid. And so you've been a walking, talking example of the wounded healer. You've been a walking, talking example of the healing journey. You've been a walking, talking example of all of the alchemy that you've had to, integrate. You've been a living, walking, talking, breathing example of thriving beyond the traumas, beyond the dramas, beyond all of the conditioning, beyond all of the past circumstances. But here is the kicker. This is the divine crossroads that you are at right now. You are no longer meant to be a living, walking, talking, breathing example. Yes, you take that with you. Yes, that's part of your human story. Yes, that's part of what you have thrived through, but you are no longer here to be a living, walking, talking, breathing example of someone that's constantly healing or going through this healing journey. You are here to be a living, walking, talking example of divinity in human form. This is how you anchor in your highest timeline. This is how you quantum shift. You will not be able to take the separate self with you. You will not be able to take this identity that is attached to any fear-based beliefs or conditioning. And as you shed that, you create a vacuum that divine provision and prosperity begins to flow into your experience. And Rise Sister Rise client is experiencing this right now. There is no such thing as empty space. When you create the vacuum, divine prosperity begins to flow in, opportunities out of the blue, clients out of the blue. Like all of these things start to happen as you begin to no longer identify with the fear. And so right now is a very potent time. This is a timely message and it's also very timeless. Of course, when you land on this, because there are different waves of the collective. So not every wave of the collective is going to be moving into this right now. And that's totally fine. You can take what resonates. You'll still get massive value from what I'm about to share over the course of the next 12 to 15 weeks over this summer, starting now on July 7th, the 7/7 portal, which has so much potent energy behind it. So this is such a potent time right now for you to choose and declare and claim what you are available for and begin to really get clear on what you are going to be a living, walking, talking, breathing example of. And so, God, there's so much more coming through. I'm going to share. I mentioned this in the previous recording that there's a Quantum Shift Code series bubbling up. And so I'm going to share the details of that in a moment. But and how that's going to work. But there was something else that I wanted to share. What is that? God, it's going to come to me. I know it's going to come to me. It always comes to me at some point. We'll see. But I'm going to take a sip. I'm going to breathe. Okay. Mm, yes. And this is non-alcoholic, just in case you're wondering. But this is one of my Divine Femme, established in 2022, champagne glasses. And a little fun side note is I drink the majority of my drinks, aside from out of my mason jars, I drink out of my champagne glass every day. Why? Because that's what goddesses do. Goddesses celebrate every freaking moment, all of the wins, all of the big wins, all the small wins, everything in between, life in general. Every precious moment is a celebration. And it's time to get into the vibes of this and really anchor into the truth of what this is all about, which is celebrating your divinity, celebrating your divine expression, honoring what wants to come through, creating it from a place of joy and overflow. That's where we're touching on right now. Overflow, divine overflow is the name of the game. I just hopped, yeah, well, I'm going to share that separately. This is what you're here to be a living, walking, talking example of now. So many of you that have been following me for a while, you've been listening to the podcast. I'm almost up to like 300 episodes. I've been doing this for a little while. And yes, yes, yes. Anywho, um, I don't buy into the starving healer story or narrative. I don't believe in that. I believe it's rooted in lack and scarcity, unworthiness, over giving, under receiving, giving your power away, martyr energy, where you feel like you need to save everybody else in order to be of service or in order to be valuable or in order to be worthy. And at the end of the day, I've seen it over and over and over again where so many healers, coaches, teachers, way showers, sacred space holders actually make themselves sick because they have unhealthy boundaries. They're over giving, they're under receiving in all of the different ways, financially, with their energy, with their essence. And this is something that is shifting right now. And I believe truly in my heart, this is a soul calling of mine. This is something I can't escape. What I know is business. What I know is sales. What I know is being of service and the sacredness of that. And what I know is part of my calling as we integrate and anchor new earth into and we anchor into this new paradigm is you fully owning your value and owning your worth and no longer giving from an empty cup and living, breathing, creating, giving, receiving from divine overflow. So the starving artist, the starving healer narrative story is not cute and it's not serving you and it's not serving the ones that you're here to be a living, walking, talking, breathing example of. So if this is triggering you, good. If this is resonating with you, good. If it's not resonating with you, then you probably already clicked off. If it is triggering you though, there is a reason for that. And that's something to lean into, because one of the things that I have seen over and over again as part of my mission work, helping spiritual entrepreneurs, leaders, creatives, visionaries, coaches, space holders, alchemists, magicians, high priestesses, and all the things share their message and gift with the world, is that they have huge blocks around receiving. They have huge blocks around charging. They have huge blocks around selling. They have huge blocks around this until they don't. And when they don't, they start to get the results that you see a lot of my Sacred Leader Academy clients have received. And this is understanding that they are actually a master at receiving when they are coming from integrity, when they are rooted in sacred service, when they are coming from a place of devotion, when they are coming from a place of serving at the highest level. And here's the little caveat to that: serving at the highest level and creating from divine overflow does not come from self-sacrifice. It is impossible for you to serve at the highest level and serve and create and give and receive from a place of divine overflow if you are still coming from a place of self-sacrifice. Let me repeat that again. You cannot serve at the highest level. You cannot transition into the light leader and sacred visionary space holder that you're here to be, to anchor in new earth, if you are still coming from self-sacrifice or compromise. And there's so many hangups around money. There's so many hangups around receiving. There's so many hangups around, just showing up and selling, or even promoting your own programs and things like that, or your own service or whatever. There's so many blocks around that. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. And a lot of them have to do with stories and narratives that you've bought into that are rooted in lack and scarcity, or rooted in some perverted, distorted version of what money, or maybe not perverted, but I think the definition of perverted, if you actually look at it, might actually apply here. It's kind of like backwards. I don't know. But let's just go with distorted. That might be a better word. Distorted version of reality and what it means to actually be in the flow, abundant, rooted in your abundant nature and understanding. Here's the thing: you are the source of all abundance. You are the source of the infinite wealth. You are the source of the creation. You are the source of all that flows in you and creates all things. So for you to deny any of it in the name of honor, or in the name of sacred, or in the name of, oh, I'm not spiritual if I actually open up to receive from my divine gifts and magic and all of those things, you are actually deflecting and pushing away the abundance that you actually are. You're saying that you are not that, and you are that. You are all of it. So this is about collapsing the identity that says you are separate from the wealth and the abundance and the impact and the service and the clients and the freedom and all the things. You are not separate from any of that. You are one with that. And the more that you keep it outside of yourself, thinking that it's either good or bad, whether you have it or you don't have it, or you allow it in or you don't allow it in, or whatnot, that is the egoic mind keeping you rooted in duality and judgment, versus fully anchored into the truth of who you are and open to receive what is in your highest and greatest good for all. And what is in and highest and greatest good for all and the collective is you shining your light, you being of service in the highest order, divine order, you channeling through and creating whatever it is you're called to create from a place of truth, from a place of integrity, from a place of alignment, from a place of sacredness, and owning it, and no longer buying into the mind that tells you something is good or bad. If you actually open to receive what it is that is meant for you, what it is that is part of your true nature. It is your true nature to be receiving and be abundant. You are not meant to be living in lack, scarcity, unworthiness, fear, and you will not be able to move into your highest 5D Dharma timeline if you are still rooted in that identity. And so there are different phases of integration in this quantum shifting that I'm going to be sharing in an upcoming series. I believe the title of it, don't quote me, I will land on this today, but I believe it's going to be Quantum Shift Codes for Divine Overflow and Wealth Code Activation. So if that is resonating with you, make sure you hit subscribe, because I'm going to share the details of how this is going to get dripped out here in a second. But yeah, there was something else I was going to share. Can't remember. Can't think of it. Of course, I can't think of it because it doesn't come from the mind. It'll come back to me if it's meant to. This is so good. Okay, so a little background about me if you're new here. I've been helping spiritual entrepreneurs since COVID. Prior to that, I was in real estate. I've went through many quantum shifts in my life where drastic identity shifts. Okay. So for example, I went from being completely bankrupt and broke to within a month transitioning into the most lucrative role of my life, where I was a top selling agent on a highly ranked world team and just crushing my sales goals and blowing everybody away on the team that I was on. So there's that. That happened in a very, it was like flipping a switch. And then there was, and this was in the midst of a real estate collapse. So it didn't make any logical sense for what I was doing. Most people don't go out and get their real estate license in the middle of a market crash, but this is what I was guided to do. And I followed it, and it led me into a whole new timeline. Um, the other really big quantum shift, and there's been several, but the other big quantum shift, which is basically your complete reality shifting very quickly, um, was retiring that identity as a real estate agent, taking a leap of faith on myself, saying no to the fear, calling in the next step showing up, taking aligned action, investing in myself to make it happen, because that's what sacred masculine energy does. And immediately within like 90 days or less, replacing my real estate income which real estate served me well for over 12 years until it didn't. And I knew it wasn't in alignment anymore and it had to go, but I didn't know how it was going to go. I tried to jump ship many times prior to that, and I had to come back to it. And I'm going to be touching on this and the difference of the difference of what occurred. Um, in the field and in my energy that made this shift actually happen and stick. So if you're trying to transition out of something that's no longer in alignment with you, and you want to make the transition stick, and you're ready to quantum shift, and you don't want to have to go back to it, like there's an energy around this, there's an integration around this, and I will share the nuances of that. But long story short, I went from being a realtor and having that as the source of income, so to speak. At the time, that's what I thought the source of income was, but it's not. It's God. God is always the source of all supply. And shifting from being a realtor into my purpose work, which is serving spiritual leaders, entrepreneurs, visionaries, creatives, artists, coaches, healers, light workers, and launching my spiritual entrepreneurship program. And I had programs prior to that I was doing on the side while I was still in real estate. I had an awakening membership, and I had a little like immersions that I would drop and things like that. So, and there was, I was teaching at that time on things like mindfulness and how that ties into manifestation, and reconditioning the nervous system in the body, and speaking to feminine and masculine energy and manifestation and channeling and connecting with your spirit guides and all this kind of stuff. And I had this awakening membership called Evolve, which was amazing. And uh, but then it was time. And when it was time, I called in the next step because I knew it was time. When the next step showed up, I took the sacred action, which definitely had both fear and excitement, fear and anticipation behind it. And I followed that because that is a clear indicator that you are on the right path when there is fear and excitement and anticipation. And that is a clear sign that you're on the right path. So taking the sacred action, catapulting myself into my spiritual entrepreneurship business, which then completely shifted my life again. I was going from doing something that I was in alignment with because it served me, and I'm masterful at sales and helping people through that, that phase of their journey. They always were at a very unique transition in life, whether they were getting married or divorced or engaged or having a baby, they were buying a house. So I was there for that, and it served me well until it didn't anymore. And I knew it. And it phased out very easily and effortlessly without any fear. And I catapulted into my spiritual entrepreneurship business, where all of a sudden now I go from that to traveling all the time, Tahoe, Aspen, and just doing my nature wellness lifestyle, and replacing my real estate income and working like 6 hours like a week maybe. And that included my calls that I was holding. So with 5-day weekends. And so really just working Tuesday through Thursday. So creating a freedom-based lifestyle. And so I want to share now, though, now there's another tipping point that we're moving into, because we are backed by this collective shift that humanity is going through. And if you're listening to this, you are on the front lines of this as we shift into new earth frequency. And this is living your heaven on earth. There was still leading from egoic means or manifestation techniques that were still rooted in acquiring something outside of myself, so to speak, at the with the previous quantum shifts. This quantum shift is different for all of us because you are being guided into your divine reality, your heaven on earth, rooted in 5D unity consciousness, and you have the power and the backing of a collective behind you that has been planting the seeds and anchoring the light for over. I mean, I know that my spiritual awakening started like long before 2012, but was really like amplified in 2012 and then again in 2019. And there is a wave that is leading this and anchoring this, and there have been way showers before this as well. And right now we're at a tipping point. We're at this tipping point where we are tipping as a collective into this 5D unity consciousness. And the thing about this shift is that you're not going to be able to bring the separate self with you anymore. The separate self was still present with the other shifts, even though I've always been very anchored in oneness and truth, and I always channeled that through. I wasn't always living it as my direct experience, but it was always channeling through because I was an open and clear channel, very pure channel since 2014 when I opened, and I really devoted to this and was really went through a deep initiation process, or moment, I should say, which I share on the podcast. Maybe I'll share it here too, but it's not the point of this recording. Long story short, this new quantum shift is wow. This is the beginning. It's the beginning of the end of a reality where you have been tethered and rooted in fear, egoic consciousness, lack, scarcity, separation consciousness, right? Which breeds lack, scarcity, and unworthiness, and reaching outside of yourself externally in order to fill some kind of void. All of that wounded identity really is just a case of mistaken identity that you've latched onto. And many of you have already realized your true nature at this point. And there still may be some conditioning unwinding, but if this is resonating with you, you're shifting again, you're expanding again, and it now into so much more. There's so much more expansion available, and this is the beginning of the end. It's the beginning of a new beginning, a new era, a new timeline. It's the beginning of the end of an identity that you will not be taking with you. Sorry, not sorry. And there is a process of this crumbling and falling away, and the void, and the sacred in between, and navigating this from a higher spiritual law. You are literally living A Course in Miracles. I haven't read that, only just pieces of it I've popped in, but this is kind of what's happening here. You're going to be so rooted in your faith and trusting in the unknown as you move into your next shift that fear is no longer a factor for you. If you are still negotiating with fear in any way, this is what's going to be dismantled bit by bit. And the longer you hold on to it, the more you will suffer. So this is kind of what I'm going to be talking about in one of the first upcoming more training style videos that I drop. But you have the collective energy, you have the energy of the cosmos right now, the energy of the field, the collective field is this momentum. I don't know if you can feel it, but this is like a snowball that has been building momentum for some time. And humanity right now is at a tipping point, and you are leading that. And even if you don't feel that this is your direct experience yet, but you are resonating with this on a core level, it's because you may be in, I hate to say phase or wave, let's just call it a wave. There's different waves of opening to this and basically moving into full embodiment of your divinity. Because right now, right here, you are it. Like there is no process to be the divinity that you are. You are the divine presence that's looking through your eyes. You're looking from your presence. And there is no journey to that, but there appears to be until there is no journey. So I know it's a paradox, but once you are fully living in it, there is a deepening, and there's a purification, and there's an undoing of all the conditions and patterns that are no longer in alignment with your highest divine reality and your fullest divine authentic expression. And that's the other thing that's coming through, is that your highest divine reality, your 5D timeline, the one where you are living your dream reality, your version of heaven on earth, is going to require your highest authentic expression. You're not going to be able to hide behind any mask of it's all going to come off, and you're not going to be able to hide your power. You're not going to be able to hide from your magic. You're not going to be able to dim your light. You're not going to be able to self-sacrifice. You're not going to be able to sell yourself short. You're not going to be able to compromise your values, and you're not going to be able to negotiate with fear anymore. You are going to be moving into a timeline where you walk on this earth as if the universe is rolling out a red carpet for you, because that is the goddess within. That is your that is your birthright. You are here as a powerful co-creator with the one of that which you are. And anything less than that is a motherfucking lie. And you are here to own that, embody that, walk in that truth, and be the shining light, the lighthouse, I call it, as the example. You're no longer here to be an example of the wounded healer archetype, or even the lone wolf template. That's all dissolving. This new phase is about being seen, being heard, being visible, creating whatever it is that's being called through, and doing it from a place of divine overflow, activating the wealth codes within you that are available for the abundance and the prosperity and the impact and the soulmate clients and the aligned opportunities and the visibility and the impact and all the things that you came here to be an expression of, and doing it from a place of sovereignty, from a place of soul alignment, from a place of sacred service, from leading with your frequency and allowing your field to do all of the heavy lifting, because you are the transmission in this new timeline. You are the living, walking, breathing transmission. This is not something you can achieve outside of yourself. And for all of you that feel that you're going to be able to fully co-create your divine reality here without taking sacred action, without the masculine energy, I have something for you here that you might want to check in with. You cannot create your divine reality without masculine energy. It's feminine and masculine energy in union. This is the sacred marriage within, not only your inner feminine and masculine energy, also your inner light and dark feminine energy. So your unapologetic magnetic badassery that you are, owning that, owning your power. This dark feminine energy is so magnetic. So it's union of all of this, light and dark, inner feminine and inner masculine, also union within and without. You are the form, you are the formless simultaneously. You are all of it. You are the creation, and the thing you're here to do is create, like the divine creator that you are, made in the likeness of the ultimate creator. You are a child of God. You are a mini God walking around here pretending to not be. And so we talked about this on the last Rise Sister Rise call, and I'm just going to share it here now because this is coming up. It's time to put away your beggar's cup. You don't need to be please, can I have a little bit over here? How about a little bit of this over here? You are not a beggar. You're not here to be a beggar. You can put away your beggar's cup. You are here to declare your divinity and know it. This cannot be in the logical mind. This is an inner knowing within the temple. Your body is the sacred temple of which this knowing is anchored and actualized within you. This is not something you can talk. You can't give the universe lip service on this anymore. This is about you fully walking your talk and being anchored in the truth of who you fucking are, and owning that, cutting through all the bullshit, cutting through all the lies, cutting through the veil and the illusion. It's so thin right now. It's here right now. New earth, your heaven on earth. Your highest divine reality is here for you right now. And if this is resonating with you, then you're going to get so much benefit out of the new series that I'm dropping. Again, the title is going to be something around uh, Quantum Ascension Shift Codes for Divine Overflow and Wealth Activation, because it's time. So I'm so excited about this. And let me take a sip. I'm celebrating to your success, because time is an illusion. It's already here now for you if you're willing to claim it for yourself. That's it. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. So how this is going to go down. This is how I think it's going to go down. Don't quote me on this, but this is how I think it's going to go down. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you're going to want to subscribe, because I'm going to be dropping, starting with this portal, series on quantum shifting into your highest divine timeline from divine overflow and activating the wealth codes within. If that resonates with you, I'm going to be dropping these complimentary as free on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast, probably not going to drop them on the podcast. I may or may not at some point. Who knows? Don't quote me on that. This is still like divinely being created, but all I know now is they're going to be on YouTube. And the what I'm tapping into, oh my goodness. 11:33 is that they're going to be available for like 72 hours. I might even post them as a what's that called? You know, when you can make a video on YouTube and you can let people know when it's going to go live. So it's going to be scheduled, I think, you know, so you'll know when it's coming out. I'm probably going to drop it at least like probably just like one a week through the summer. So through the 7/7 portal, 8/8/9/9 covering us through September. Um, through most of September, and weekly calibrations are what these are going to be, weekly calibrations and activations. You're going to get so much value from this. So I recommend following along. They're going to be completely complimentary for probably about 72 hours. And then they're going to go into a membership hosted here on YouTube, which you can get access to all of them if you join the membership. And at the end of the series, I'm playing around with this, but I'm pretty sure once the last one is dropped sometime in September, I'm going to discontinue the membership, and then they will be packaged as a standalone program where you can buy them as a course, and they will most likely also be a bonus in some of my premium programs. So that being said, if that resonates with you, hit subscribe so you don't miss one, because they're only going to be up for about 72 hours, and then they're going to roll into a membership. And I don't know the price of the membership yet, but it's going to be like a no-brainer. So if you resonate with one and you wanted to get access to everything that was released before that, you just have to subscribe to the membership. And yeah, when they get packaged into a standalone course, which is most likely what's going to happen, they will also be bundled with some other goodies, tools, and activations and things like that that I'm working on behind the scenes for like a mind-blowing, you know, standalone program. But it's also going to be packaged in a bonus, as a bonus, most likely for all Rise Sister Rise clients. So Rise Sister Rise, if you're new here, is my premium sacred visionary leadership, a mentorship program where I am a sacred mirror and activator for those that are in the sacred in between, which is a phase of this journey, phase of this quantum shifting process where you are fully getting live access to me on a weekly basis for 13 weeks. So just a little over 3 months, which perfectly aligns with when I'm dropping these as well. So if you are feeling the energy of this and you want to get beyond just the trainings that I'm dropping, you want to get in a live container with other women that are fucking crushing it and taking aligned sacred action and calling in their divine dream reality and allowing themselves to let go of the things that are no longer in alignment, and they have support in doing this along the way so they can fully claim and own what they came here to be an example of, and you want that live support, you want those live activations, and you want that sacred space, it's so powerful, then you'll have the link to get into Rise Sister Rise at any point, and you're welcome to join us. So I think that's it for now. I hope this resonated with you. If you're feeling this energy, drop me a champagne glass emoji. And let me know, because I'm celebrating you and I'm celebrating the collective that's shifting into this. And I'm celebrating those that are resonating with this and it's not yet your divine experience. And maybe you need another layer of support, or maybe you just want to tune into the live series completely free, totally complimentary, totally perfect. But you know in your bones that this is meant for you, because the woman that I speak to and the man, right? So there's a lot of, this isn't gender specific. There's a lot of men that have wanted to get into my programs, and I specifically keep them sacred for women for a lot of different reasons. But this is going to be completely open to the public for the time that it is. So you'll have access to some of these. I may even throw some more bonuses and ideas, because that's what the feminine does. So behind the membership, don't be surprised if there's some pop-up live stream events or some guided wealth code activations and things like that, or other calibrations that help you shift and, you know, from what is not serving you into fully allowing and receiving and opening to divine flow. There's so many things coming up, and Creation is the most fun part of this entire fucking journey. So don't be surprised if there's other things popping up into the membership. So yeah, drop me the champagne glass emoji if you're still here with me and this resonates. And tune into the live, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the podcast, these are likely not going to be dripped on the podcast. So you're going to want to come over to YouTube at Divine Femme TV, subscribe, get access to the trainings and access to the membership if you want to stay in the vibe and get any of the other perks or bonuses that I drop in there. So this is amazing because part of my model, and I'm going to share this because I shared this with a client the other day, has always been to lead with generosity. So for all of you that feel that you can't charge for your services, I'm getting full body chills right now. Whether it's $10 or $10,000, it doesn't even matter, right? I have programs of everything in between, starting as low as $22 all the way up to the $40,000 range if you want VIP, five-star resort kind of live interaction with me and everything in between. So for all of you that don't think you can charge for your service, the model that I've always resonated with it with my heart, and I'm just sharing this with you, you can resonate or not with it because ultimately you are your own guru, is I've always led with generosity. 90% of my content is free and super potent and activating. There are people that have commented on my YouTube and my podcast and have reached out to me privately via email and Instagram and all the things saying that the content that I've put out for free has changed their life, shifted their life, saved their life by putting out content for free. Part of what I have taught in my previous program, the first entrepreneur program that I launched in Sacred Leader Academy, was all about having an organic traffic source and where can you show up and shine your light and be the mother effing lighthouse that you are meant to be, where you can shine your light so that those who are in the darkness can easily find you. Visibility is a thing here. You need to be seen and you need to be heard, and you need to be seen and heard in your genius and your authentic divine expression. Where can that be? Where can you lead with generosity and still charge what you feel is healthy and self-honoring on the back end for your time, for your energy, for your essence, for the life that you are here to co-create with the divine, for the foundation that you are here to grow from, for the legacy that you're here to build, for the impact you're here to make. Like you selling yourself short and not owning it and giving, bleeding out, having all of these energy leaks around your time, your energy, your essence, your ability to receive, your ability to hold space for the clients, the money, the impact, all the things. That is not being of highest service, in my opinion. And so for all of you that are at this tipping point where you know you have a block around sales and receiving or a block around money and things like that, I hear you. I I hear you because I've been working with spiritual entrepreneurs my whole life. I personally have been in sales my whole life. So making money is part of the game with that, but I've always done it from a place of alignment and sacred service with every business that I've built, even real estate and the brick and mortar businesses that I've owned. I've owned a beauty salon. It wasn't like a salon, it was an organic cruelty-free tanning studio here in Arizona, so you didn't have to be in the UV rays and everything, but you could still look cute, but it was completely organic and it turned into this beautiful thing because I grew it with sacred service. I grew it from an idea, and within 30 days I had the whole thing, like 30 to 45 days I had the whole thing built out and a grand opening and a revolving door of clients because I built it from sacred service and sacred intention. I set the intention and I blessed the space. At the time I was Reiki energying it and everything. And I set the intention that the women that come through this door are going to feel beautiful, are going to feel they're going to fall more in love with themselves. They're going to feel better when they leave than when they came. And I'm getting full body chills here right now. I'm going to cry because I had so many beautiful relationships come through that studio. And within like a month, I had like a month or two, there was like all of these five-star reviews all over Yelp, and people were coming from other cities to come to the studio. And women were coming to me again during such beautiful transition phases, just like in real estate. And one of them was, maybe they had just recovered from cancer and so they didn't want to be in the sun. There were some that had just gone through, breast cancer and wanted to look pretty or feel pretty in their skin. There were some that were going on vacation for their honeymoon. There were some that were um, getting just getting engaged, or they're doing a photo shoot for their business. Um, there are so many celebrations, so many celebrations. The interesting thing is when I sold that business and I sold the intellectual the intellectual, all the things, the website, the client database, the marketing strategy, and I mentored the new owner for like 90 days, complimentary as included in part of the sale when everything transitioned. I believe she closed up shop within like 6 months. Everything dried up because it wasn't about the marketing. It wasn't about, yes, there was marketing, but it wasn't about the marketing. Yes, I was on Yelp. Yes, I was promoting to give me reviews. Yes, you got a $20 off if you gave me a Yelp review and things like that. So there was strategic marketing. We don't just throw the baby out with the bathwater when you're growing a business or you're creating an impact online or you're trying to like create a legacy or move a mission forward or anything like that. This is what happens with so many spiritual entrepreneurs is they throw strategy and they throw masculine and sacred action and they throw the structure and everything out the window. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're keeping all the good stuff, but we're aligning it with divine feminine energy and infusing it with sacredness and devotion and integrity. So it wasn't about the marketing, it wasn't about the messaging, it wasn't about the studio, it wasn't about the location, it wasn't about the demographic, it wasn't about the ability for those in that area to be able to pay for spray tans or anything like that, that all the normal business stuff would dictate. It was about me showing up in my gift and shining my light with intention. And what started with a spray tanning studio, an organic spray tanning studio that was cruelty free and non-GMO and organic and all the things, because that's what I'm into. So it was healthy and it was fun and it was cute and it was beauty related, which is like totally feeds my Libra energy. It turned into a revolving door of women that were showing up to be seen in their light and to feel better in their skin and to know that they are innately worthy. I had all these little like self-love affirmations on the mirrors and everything like that. And it was just an experience. And the funny thing is I thought about like, here I was driving all the way to the Scottsdale to get a spray tan, and I was like, I really wish there was one here. And I was like, there isn't one here. Why don't I just create it? And then I was like, that kind of feels good. That kind of feels fun. Okay, let's create it. Next thing you know, I'm walking around with a realtor and I found this one little space. All the leasing offices were like 2, 3 grand and stuff like that to rent the space. I found this one little cubby hole of a space that was probably used as storage. And it was probably only like 500 square feet, I believe. And I rented it on the spot. You had to go up these long stairs in the back of a shopping complex to get to it. So it had its own like little private parking lot in the back. And I was like, we'll take it. I'll take it. I was like, it was perfect. I built that out as a studio with 2 different spray tanning things. I know I'm sharing this for a reason. It was fun. It lit me up. It didn't make any sense. I was already a realtor. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start a spray tanning studio, suppose. It was fun. The right space showed up. That was fun. I built it out. That was fun. I opened the doors. That was fun. I just kept staying with it. It was fun. Um, um, and there's something else I was going to say. Oh, and it turned out the space ended up being perfect because little did I know that the women that were showing up for these spray tans, which I should have known because I had to drive far for spray tans before, so I know you come out and you kind of have like you kind of sticky, so you hang out in the studio, you kind of air dry, shoot the shit, fun, girl talk kind of stuff, and then people are like walking down the back stairs into this little like hidden parking lot that's like basically exclusive for us, and there's no shoes on, or they're in their bikini, or they're in their like cover up, their hair is like all messed up, there's no makeup on because you're not supposed to wear any makeup, so it was like raw, authentic, show up in your messy PJs because we're going to spray tan you and you're going to look like a goddess when you leave and it's going to be amazing, and you can leave out the back door, no one's going to see you, and go home, and it is what it is. So it turned out to be beautiful and sacred and perfect. And it was just an idea. It was just an impulse. I'm getting full body chills right now. It was just a fucking impulse. And you know what? The interesting thing is, I didn't start off cheap. I wasn't the loss leader. I wasn't the Walmart of spray tans. I charged a hefty price tag compared to what some of the other spray tans in Scottsdale and stuff were charging. And I wasn't in Scottsdale and I was charging 40 or $50 for a spray tan for an express spray tan, which you could get a spray tan for 30 at other places and stuff like that. And it only took like 15 minutes to tan somebody. And I had sorority girls and college girls doing the spray tan. So that was the fun environment. But long story short, it was an idea. It was an impulse. It was a creative insight. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. There was no background in owning a brick and mortar business. There was no background in stocking all of the different like organic beauty stuff that I had in there. There was, I had a staff. I had, like all these things that were new that I never had before because all my other ventures were virtual or solo. So, but I just followed the nudge, followed the creative insight, followed and I learned so much from that experience. What do I still have it? No, because I was called to expand beyond that. And it was such a I mean, it was so sacred. It was so beautiful. And being able to follow that creative insight and that spark of curiosity and that feeling of like, yeah, sure. And if it didn't feel like fun, I wouldn't have followed the next step. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. It was just fun. And then it would continue to be fun. And I continued to take the steps. And when it was clear that I was growing beyond that and I wanted to expand beyond that, then I sold it and blessed it. And it was what it was for the time that it was. And it was perfect. And it was a stepping stone into being able to serve at a high level women in a way that was more intimate than I had ever served before. So looking at it now, it was perfectly aligned with what I'm doing now because now I'm holding sacred space for women in the same way virtually and moving into doing that on, in person with in-person retreats and in-person VIP immersions and luxurious settings and things like that. But it all ties in, right? It's all bringing all of my passions and what I love together. And now I'm using that same thing that I cultivated from that experience is being used now with every container that I do online. It's being used right now with the story that I share and the lessons that I learned, and it's being shared now with the curated sacred spaces that I am going to be holding in person with women. And that are really rooted in legacy level, impact and luxury and beauty and all the things. So the point is, your divine reality is your divine reality, and you're not going to necessarily know how it works out. You're going to be guided into the unknown. You're going to be guided into taking sacred action being from not seeing the end of how it's going to turn out. I had no idea when I dropped $12,000 to build out that space if it was going to be a success or not. But it was what I was called to do. It was what I was called to do. It was what was feeling fun in the moment. It was what was lighting me up. I had no idea. And here's the thing with real estate, going from bankruptcy into being a top realtor like overnight on a world ranked team, it didn't make sense to have, surrender something that was steady income because I was doing transaction management at that point, virtually real estate support. And when that collapsed and the real estate collapsed, I was given an opportunity to have that as a steady source of income through the real estate class because I was doing it virtually for, agents all over the country as one of my first businesses out of college. And so I made so many connections in the real estate industry that when the market collapsed, I was given the opportunity to be a transaction manager with a big team. And I was getting steady income. And this was after dealing with bankruptcy and stuff like that because I lost my ass in the real estate collapse because I was investing beyond my means in my 20s, which I shouldn't have been doing. But all in hindsight now, long story short, it didn't make sense for me to get my real estate license in the middle of a real estate collapse and crash that occurred in 2006 and 2007. That didn't make sense. And it lasted for several years. However, it turned out to be the most lucrative time because who knew all of the cash investors were going to be flying into Arizona, and I was going to close a shit ton of deals and make a ton of cash. Um, and be able to create that for myself, not even being a realtor, right? Like this is something I was learning on the fly. I got my real estate license in a week and hit the ground running in one of the most competitive markets in the continental United States. In all of the US states, Arizona is one of the hottest, most competitive markets. And I hit the ground running in that. Didn't make sense. It also didn't make sense to take real estate income in the midst of a pandemic, a global pandemic, when many people were going out of business and losing their jobs and very uncertain about the future, unprecedented times, nobody knows what's going on. It didn't make a lot of sense to take funds and invest $6,000 in a mentor because I called him in and he showed up within 24 hours speaking my language and I just knew in my heart it was right. And so I dropped it, 6 grand on his mentorship call, and I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning because he happened to be in Bali at the time. So I was there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with my journal, taking notes and integrating all of the golden nuggets of everything having him as a support system when I launched Sacred Leader Academy. Didn't make sense to do that. There were plenty of excuses I could have made of how the timing wasn't right. It didn't make sense. I don't know if this is going to work out. I'm taking money, investing it into something that is totally uncertain, and most people would be squandering their money or holding on to it tightly or in a fear-based reactionary mode. And I was like, let's do this. I called it in. I can't say no once I call something in. I must take sacred action on it. And immediately I think it was like within 7 to 10 days, had my first 3 clients enroll in my new program, and then it was off to the races. So there's a lot of themes here that I'm going to be integrating into this Quantum Ascension Shift Code series for divine overflow and wealth code activation. And it's for the woman who knows she's not here to play small. You're not here to live in a fear-based dynamic. You're here to lead the new earth. You're here to shift into your highest divine reality. You're here to make the decisions that seem illogical. Usually it's right before you make the illogical decisions that feel irresponsible or crazy, is right when you're about to quantum shift into your next evolution, your next era. That has been the case so many times, and it's always been rooted in faith and devotion and sacred action. And it's often you feel crazy as fuck right before you do it. And I'm experiencing this in real time now as I quantum shift again into my highest divine reality. And you're going to be able to experience this in real time because I will be sharing through this series. It's already started, it's already pouring in, and clients are experiencing this as well. Not only my clients, but those that have been listening and watching, and they've literally sent me emails and Instagram messages saying, I'm resonating with all your videos, and 2 opportunities just flew out of the blue that I was totally not expecting. Um, so yay. I don't know. This is really long. Oh my God, you can't make this shit up. Now it's 11:55. Big changes are on the horizon. 5 11 11 11:55 on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. Big changes. Letting go of the old that's no longer serving you, shifting, big changes, big changes, big changes for the collective here that's resonating with this. So, okay, I know I said this before, but drop a champagne emoji if you're still with me. And if you have any questions about any of my programs, including the Forbidden Feminine Sacred Heart Temple, which is getting its next edition around sacral magnetism, that's going to drop soon. The rate does increase once it drops. Check that out. Or if you want to be on a really powerful call, it happens on Saturdays right now with other women that are deepening into their divine feminine sovereignty and activating their feminine power, and you want to be on a live call, you can join the membership for the price of a pedicure. It's called Embodied the Empress. It's so available if you want to just start hopping on calls and integrating with community and support. I pop in there with live channeled activations, and then there's usually room for 2 or 3 hot seat sessions. You don't have to take the hot seat if you don't want to. You could be a fly in the wall. But what usually happens is that everybody starts to collectively share within the time that's allowed, and it all beautifully feeds and activates each other, because that's what we're here to do as the collective. So you don't have to do this alone. The lone wolf template is dying. Get into a community, whether it's mine or someone else's, that you resonate with, that is 5D frequency and beyond, that you resonate with, so you can start, being in the momentum of this and being in the proximity and the frequency of it very directly, because it's a game changer. It's a game changer. And yes, this is activating as well, but it's about if you're being called to it. If you're not being called to it, then don't worry about it. If you're not feeling called, if you are feeling called, then take the action, because I can tell you everything. Ooh, this is good. I'm going to end it on this. Everything happens on the other side of the decision that is made. And this is where you're at right now. There's a decision and a choice point. And there's a quote here that I'm going to share. I'm going to end it on this. It's from Bob Proctor. Once you make the decision, you will find all the people, resources, and ideas you need every time. And I have experienced that over and over and over again. And I'm going to be sharing all about this in the new series. So subscribe if you're going to ride along with us and you're hopping on the New Earth bus that is boarding. And until next time, I hope this finds you well. Namaste.